think we've all been there where we're suffering somebody that maybe has the skills on paper, but they're just a pain to work with, and they slow everybody down.
Yep.
And a lot of the time it takes an outside perspective to recognize it. And then once you point it out, I'm sure that conversation is, yes.
Yes, yeah, that's good, because an owner brings somebody on, and you really know within 2-3 weeks if you got the right person. You do know it. But you say, I got them, I'll make it work. Or you know what? I'll change the job description. No, the job description is the job description. If they have to do this, you want to look at what you need, where they stand, and the gap. Coaching is getting them from the gap of where they are to where they need to be and helping them grow. But we settle for it. We say it's better than nothing.
Yeah.
Job market's tough. I got to go find somebody. Oh, man. And so it usually doesn't work out.
All right. So tell us an example of one of your most challenging customer engagements and describe the approach you took and what resulted.
Okay, so the most challenging customer, do I have to limit it to one? Every engagement has its own unique situation, but I'll share. About 10 years ago, I started working with a company. It was a large manufacturer, and the company culture was broken. And culture is the hardest thing in any company to fix. It is very hard to change culture, but there's a high attrition rate. They couldn't keep people. People were miserable. We asked in our survey, do you think you're going to be here in 3 years? Overwhelmingly, it was no. So we did this survey because we identified these issues. And once the survey came back, we noticed that there was one individual that was part of the C-suite. And he was really one of the founders of the organization. And he was essential to get them where they were, about $30 million. And he was guarded by the CEO because he thought this guy, and the guy was very bright. He had so much primal knowledge. It was something you really couldn't remove him without ripping the fabric of the company. So the problem was, though, is he touched everyone, and his personal skills were horrendous. He was caustic, and the survey proved that out. So I spent some time coaching the person. Then we looked at EOS, and we looked at right people, right seat. And we noticed he was the right person, but he wasn't in the right seat. So we removed him from his direct interaction with people, put a buffer in there, and we moved the wizard behind the curtain, so to speak. And we did a subsequent survey a year later. Off the charts. Culture was way up. Attrition was way down. Open head count was way down. And it was attributable to making that move. And it was a seemingly small piece, but doing that small piece, understanding what was needed, and doing the right thing for the greater good really helped the company. They're a $200 million company now.
Wow.
Acquiring more companies. Yeah, you've got to look at that, and leadership has to understand what are the dysfunctions. And that was certainly one. So I'm really proud of that. And to this day, they're still a client. So I still coach their people.
Wow.
They bring me in as they implement EOS. There's different groups that we've developed. And one of those key things is that the frontline managers, one of the key things with EOS is that you have to, as your primary accountability, if anyone works for you, your number one responsibility, we call LMA, lead, manage, hold people accountable. But when people rise up through the ranks and they were an operator or they did this process and now they got to manage people, they don't know how to coach. They don't know how to lead. They know how to do it. So they become fairly dictatorial in their approach as opposed to nurturing and then elevating themselves to the right level and then delegating stuff. They're more comfortable doing it than overseeing. Mm-hmm. And that's a tough thing. And for the first couple of years, it's really hard for someone to make that transition.
Yeah. As we're having this conversation, I'm having just flashbacks to jobs I've had in the past where it's, I can remember a situation exactly like that was painful. And
we've all been there.
Yeah. And the issue is, as an employee, even if you have really bright employees and they see the issue, they can't necessarily speak the issue because what's going to happen to them?
Retribution.
Exactly. So having an outside source like you that can
Yeah.
give feedback and have a seat at the table, so to speak, gives a lot of power to the right moves.
It really does. And I recollect in my past life, the worst managers that I encountered, and we've all had bad managers, were those that always caught you doing it wrong versus helping you to find what right is and then coaching you to do it right more frequently. But if you're always doing something wrong, you stop doing anything because you're afraid anything that happens